Order 20-75 dated September 9th, 2020. Discussion and or vote whether there is public access to the meeting through adequate alternate means. Mr. Chandler, there is other people than school committee members on this meeting?
Yes, there are.
Okay, so I would say we have adequate access to the meeting, so I don't know if the approval of the minutes from August 13th and September 10th were prepared. They're in the folder. Jen, do you know if they were there?
You know, I did not see the minutes in the folder today.
Okay, so next is payment of bills. Alex, I didn't see any payment of bills in the folder.
Nope, not this week.
Okay, so
Mr. Chairman, do you need to approve the agenda or no?
yes. Make a motion, Jen, to approve the agenda.
Yeah, motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it 2-0. Karen Friedman can't make this meeting. Thank you. All right, next is business office monthly report. Alex?
Yeah, I thought tonight I would just take you through where the budget stands right now with the intention of 2 weeks from tonight, our first meeting in October, that we would adopt a new budget. As you recall, the budget we passed back in, I guess, March, and that the town council approved, we all knew at the time was a budget based on a normal type of year, and this year is anything that looks like but normal. So there's many changes we're going to have to make, and additions, and in some areas where we won't have to spend maybe some money. And so my plan is to come with that in 2 weeks. But this is the way I have it right now, and even this is a little bit stale because today we made a change whereby I added $150,000 into the facilities budget to purchase glycol for all the boiler rooms in the high school, because we have a number of univents in those at the high school, and some are affected by each and every. It's not just one boiler room that feeds all the bad ones. There's some bad ones in each of the different areas of the school that boilers service. So we're going to have to put the glycol in all our systems. And to give you an idea what it might cost, we're not sure yet, but Sandwich High School, which is a smaller high school than ours, E&E told me that they spent $111,000 to put glycol in their boilers. And so with the number of different buildings we have and rooms and stuff, I've made an allotment I'm going to make an allotment for $150,000. That's not even in these numbers now, and you'll see that in 2 weeks. But anyhow, what I've done right now is, as you know, the ESSA fund monies that we would do, that $512,000, that is going to be set up as a receivable last year, because it was replacing state aid. When that money comes in, we are going to reduce expenditures. In last year, in the fiscal 20 year, we reduced expenditures from the COVID point on. So April, May, and June, we paid for special ed tuitions and psychology course, and some Chromebooks, etc. We spent the $512,000. What it'll do is reduce last year's expenditures and make the fund balance larger and more available to take into this year. Now, the key will be that we spend that $512 on things that are just strictly will be one-time expenditures this year. We don't want to start paying for salaries or things that we know, or we're just digging ourselves a deeper hole. So anyhow, we will be increasing the fund balance by that, and I'll show it standing out separately on the revenue sheet as fund balance for ESSA funds. The ICSI copay, I think we've talked about. That was where ICSI stayed with the contract they had in place this year, and so not to have people go backwards in salary or in money that they take home on a biweekly basis. We held off on increasing their copay. Rentals, we've made an adjustment on rentals. We've cut that number back somewhat. Alphabet, the pool, other places aren't able to do everything that they were before COVID, and so we feel that though they're there and they're gonna pay rents, it won't be at the same level. And then we used to do a lot of specialty events, basketball tournaments, gymnastic tournaments and stuff that I'm not sure we'll be able to, that will run in this fiscal year. So I've taken that down somewhat. Also, in talking with Dr. Santa, we've reduced the special ed tuitions by about half. We usually do about a little over 100,000. We're not exactly sure how that's going to shake out, how many people are going to enroll in the preschool. And so we've, to be conservative, we've taken that a little bit down. Some good news, the CTE tuitions, this number is based on 33 students enrolled in the program. The original budget called for 10, then we went to 12, and then the next time I checked with Adolfo and Heather, it was 33, and then I checked again today, and it's around 40. So this represents 33, and I'll be making an adjustment in this line item to help pay for some of the glucose in 2 weeks when you get a new sheet. So I've increased that by 226,000. The town master lease, as you recall, was 792. We asked the mayor to increase it by 40 when we had the concern about the Chinese components for the security project at our high school, that the company that had won the bid, when they found out it was Chinese components they were working on, wouldn't participate. And so we have to change some of our equipment there. It'll be about $40,000. We do have that amount now. It's about that 40,000. Master lease technology, we have about $518,000 that we were paying for outside the mayor's master lease in our budget. And I've asked, I've mentioned to the mayor about going out and whether this lease will sit on our books next year, the payments on his books, if he would go out and initiate another master lease for us so that we can take the technology costs out of our budget and pay them in a master lease. The point I'll make to the mayor next year, that 100,000 or so that he'll have to pay next year, it could be part of the money he was going to give us or whatever. I can't believe the town wouldn't be at least increasing our budget next year by that 100,000. So it has no impact on the town this year, but we want him to do the lease because they have the full faith and effort to raise taxes that we don't have, can issue this debt at tax exempt rates where we can't. So it costs us a little bit more if we do the borrowing. And then the last thing is this is the pathways that I increased for the couple of kids on top of before the 226 for the additional. So I'll combine those two numbers on the next report. So you see $74,344,000 of revenues. On the appropriation side, from Ashton all the way down through athletic salaries, which is about, three-fifths of that appropriation. Those are adjustments that have come about through job pools, through the G6 people not taking their raises. So you see something like in the superintendent's budget, you see the reduction of 5,700, assistant superintendent 4,800, a little bit down on the page. Those are the adjustments in those departments are the G6 salaries. Up above in the schools, it's for basically movements on the job pools and et cetera. Breakage, if you recall the original budget, we didn't know where the music teachers were. We just had a breakage line item for a negative $88,000. That now has been rolled up into all of these salaries, so that negative breakage number can, comes out, and we add $88,000 to do that. The healthcare claims, it's the amount that we're paying on a monthly basis to WB Community is going to result in it being $240,541 higher than we have budgeted. So there's no flexibility or play in that number anymore. We have to put that number in. Workers' comp premium, we've talked about being up a little bit. Busing, the busing's the next line item. In discussions with Durham, they are looking for last year 45% of what we saved in the months of March, April, May, and June as were their fixed costs. I've asked Steve Schmuck to show me how he gets to that number. There's things in there like his rental, of the yard that they store buses in, the full-time people that they kept on, other costs that they may have. And so he hasn't yet gotten back to me on that, but he says he's working on that. But that number was just over $700,000, and 45, I think it was 712,000 that we saved on that one area. And they're looking for 45% of it, or about 320. If we go virtual on 29 Mondays this year, as well as what we're saving in September and October on busing by opening up a little bit late and not having all the students in right now, that comes to about $440,000. So there's about $120,000 if we accept their numbers of play there, where we'll save more this year than we pay out to them. So I put $100,000 in there right now until I can get through the all the documents with Steve. We've decreased unemployment. The last time I had this was 175. I think Katie's on this call. She can attest to this. I don't think we've almost called back everyone we laid off as far as TAs and teachers and stuff, because of the number of people that are taking leave of absences during the year because of the COVID and other such things. So I think we can reduce that unemployment by another $100,000. We're still paying about $20,000 a month now, though. And so, but that number, if it stays consistent, will still allow us a reduction there of $275. Athletics, I've taken a little bit out of athletic busing at this point because there's certain sports aren't running. The middle school sports aren't running. Football isn't running. The goal is to run them in the spring, but if that happens and I have to find money for busing at that point, we'll have to. But at this point, I've taken a little bit out to try to balance the budget. All of the fringes with all the plus and minuses of salaries above they changed $2,500, but they changed. So there it is to make this thing balanced. We were decreasing special ed tuitions by $100,000. That's been on there right along. The high school security project, we have 500 budgeted. The bids came in at 658. So I'm adding 158,000 to the facilities capital budget to complete that project, which is on later for tonight for discussion. The increase of virtual learning licenses, 138,000 for the additional licenses we're purchasing for students for, I guess, IXL and Ingenuity, for those distant learners, I guess. The charter schools and trust numbers have been on here right along. Cleaning supplies and PPE stuff and plexiglass and stuff, we've spent about $100,000 so far. I have to, the COVID rules with the 636,000 we're receiving is that you have to spend that type of money in the second half of the year, which we probably will have to anyhow, because we haven't bought enough supplies for the whole year, only because we didn't know, if we end up going virtual, we don't want to have all sorts of hand sanitizer stuff sitting around that we wouldn't be using. Substitutes. This is a goal. I don't know if this will be possible to have the highest substitutes, permanent substitutes. The technology apps. Once again, I've got $30,000 in COVID relief fund money and $60,000 here because we have to spend our own. This is for apps for distance learners. A lot of that stuff Mike tells me was free last year, but not so much this year. And then Chrome devices. $272,000 put in our budget for Chrome devices that it isn't going to be in the mayor's budget anymore with the high school security project, et cetera. And you come up with the same $74,344,419. Now, the next time you see this, there'll be another $150,000 in here for glycol. And the up above, there'll be an increase in CTE tuitions from the 33 students to the 41. 8 students, 7 students times $13,958 a student. Will pretty much get me the lion's share of that. I'll have to make some other adjustments that we'll go through, but we need to, hopefully that our next meeting get a budget passed so that we can start seeing where we are financially and start issuing reports and the likes. Yeah, if there's any questions on any line items, I'm happy to try to answer them.
Yeah, I just have
ahead,
question.
John.
Just a question. I know that we've had a lot of homeschool requests this year, unusual to any other year. Is that impacting the budget anywhere that we would see here at this point in time? I don't know if people have been kind of changing their minds and going back and forth, but I'm just curious to see, is that impacting us at all right now?
Can you repeat the first part, Jen? I missed
Just
what
for
you
the
said. What's impacting that?
The homeschooling numbers, are they particularly high, and is that impacting the
Well-
budget? Because, we've seen
well-
so many come through. So I'm just wondering kind of where
Well,
we're at.
The homeschool numbers would affect Adelpho and Mike and others putting the schedule together, because they're not here. But the real financial impact they will have will be next year when we lose the state aid for all those kids. So at this particular budget, what what we've put in for salaries and stuff accounts for those homeschool kids. So even though we've lost some kids there, picking up 40 kids that were, from other districts kind of probably has offset a good portion of that, I don't know, Bob, if you have anything to say about that, you maybe more aware of it.
You're muted, Bob. Bob, you're muted.
Sorry.
Hey,
Yeah, understandably, there are, more students being homeschooled now than in the past. And it'll be interesting to see as we progress through this situation that we're in, whether or not those students will return. I have had a few emails from parents asking if they could return to either distance learning or whatever model we're implementing at that particular time. And we certainly can't prevent anybody from returning to school if they wish. I think it's a tremendous responsibility for the parents, but there are a number, but I don't know that it's an outrageous number of families that are homeschooling at this right now.
okay.
Also,
Anyone else?
if
Anyone?
there aren't any other questions on the top part of the document, on the bottom, you see how we would plan to spend the COVID relief funds. The $50 million that the governor talks about that no one's ever applied for, but the paperwork had been out about a week and a half when she made that comment. So I don't know what that was all about, but the 636 that we're going to get, we're looking to pay for our ventilation study that we had E&E do. The $90,000, the first part I've added $100,000 up above on the report for cleaning supplies for the second half of the year. What we purchased so far this year, to open school, that $90,000 I would try to push into here. Ventilation parts and ventilation repairs, labor, $50,000 and $90,000. The standalone ventilator units, $80,500. The technology apps, we think we'll spend around $90,000. I've got 60 above in the budget. I would push 30 into here. And then the Chromebooks for grades 3 and 5, $255,000 for that. Now, since we've submitted our application, which Coventry was the first, I guess, to submit, and they made a big to deal when the governor said no one had submitted. But we've submitted ours this week, and just since we've submitted it, we've learned, at least I've heard from someone at RIDE, that they're looking not to allow ventilation repairs and stuff to be counted. I don't know if because this whole issue with COVID has become so political, and they, because they don't want to admit that it's transferred in the air, or that they can't open school because ventilators aren't in good shape. I don't know what the reason is, but that if that's the case, we will really struggle to find a way to spend this money, because we put all we put a lot of our eggs in this basket to get our ventilation, unit events up to par. And we would use this money. If it has to go to the general fund, I don't know if there's anything else really in the general fund we could substitute, because we really haven't, other than cleaning supplies and this, we haven't really hired that many. We brought back all the people that were laid off, but we really haven't hired. Our budget doesn't allow for us saying, oh, well, we'll put on 6 or 7 more custodians or this or that things that, would be allowable. So we'll have to watch this closely. The money has to be spent by December. The Chromebooks are a risk if they don't come in. And but that's where we are right now.
All right, Dennis, and then Heidi. Go ahead, Dennis.
I had my hand raised earlier, Alex. I had a question about that increase. No, it's all right. I had a question about that $18 increase per student to the charter school. I don't know if I missed that. Why is that on top of what we're already giving them? Is there a reason we're paying extra now?
Yeah, no, when I put the budget together, the history is it usually goes up anywhere from $150 to $175 a year.
Okay.
And when we put the budget together, we don't have that number from RIDE. The data isn't all in and complete, their UCOA records and all that type of stuff. So I had submitted a budget with an estimate. When I got the actual number from RIDE, it's $18 higher than we had estimated. That's all.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Thank you.
And Heidi?
Yeah.
Yep, we didn't bring everybody back. We still have outstanding guidance counselors that haven't come back that we had talked about bringing
I know.
back if we're able to.
I know. I didn't say we brought everyone back. If I did, I misspoke. But we brought, of the 30-something people we had out at one time, we've brought back the lion's share of them. And so the unemployment will be reduced. Yeah, those 2 guidance counselors or whatever will still be, that's right. That's why we can't take all the unemployment money, but there's still some people that will be collecting, but not to the extent that we had estimated.
Okay. Anyone else have any follow-up questions for Alex? Okay, hearing none. Shauna is going to give us an Sedesco food service report during the regular meeting. Alex, do you know the amount of money outstanding from Rise Academy?
No, I don't. I don't know if she'll know. I'll text her and see if she can get that number. As far as food service, since it's on there, I can give you a little bit of the USDA has waived a lot of, they've given us a number of waivers where we're able to do a lot of what we were doing in the summer. And right now, all our students are able to get a free lunch except the students at community. So I've made a call to RIDE and asked them to take a look at that again. There are a couple other districts that were in the same case, and I learned from Kristen, Sedexo, general manager, that they were able to get them, but calling RIDE, they were able to get those schools included.
Okay.
So I've done that. So Steve Carey's told me that it was, that it was hard for them to get those schools over the goal line. They had to kind of really, use their imagination. So I don't know if they'll be able to do that with community. Community may draw from a more wealthy area than some of these other places did, but with our other students all free right now. And so what I'm concerned is that because we've only gotten very few applications for free and reduced meals from our normal people that have been on there over the years. And what's happened is I'm afraid that they're going to see, gee, I'm already getting my free meal. I guess I'm all set. I don't have to apply this year. So I wrote a letter yesterday that we will be sending out to all the people who, last year, explaining that the USDA has waived this till December, the end of December. Come January, if you don't submit your application, your student will no longer be eligible. So I'm going to send that out to everyone that was on the list last year.
Alex, wouldn't it behoove us to send it to every student in Cumberland? I mean,
Well,
let's face
I think we're going to do that. I think we did that. I think the principals did that with sending that home with backpacks, and I know Mike Chandler has put it on the web. So, you're talking mailing it to everyone. It's a
emailing it to every parent that's in Aspen would save us a lot.
We could do that. But I think, I think we should also make sure we get it in there for those 921 that were on there last year. I think it's important to send it to them, and then everyone else contact that through email, and website, and stuff in an application and backpack and the rest of it.
Okay, I know Sean is gonna give us a report in the regular
Yeah.
meeting, so let's move to the facilities report. Will, where do we stand?
So we have a bunch of vendors out to our middle schools and the elementary schools. I moved TES Electric over to community to start repairs on the unit vents on that list that we gotten from Next Gen. I have Arden coming out tomorrow to BF Norton to do some unit vent washing of the coils. We're gonna try that and see if we can get a better airflow through those unit vents.
Okay, and are we touching the other schools as well?
Yes, we are. I have another crew over at the trans building, going through all the unit vents, and I have ENE tonight over at North Cumberland Middle School, working on some control issues.
Okay. Are you raising your hand there or just have it up resting? Okay,
No,
all right, go ahead. Okay, anyone have any questions for Will in regards to what's going on? I do know 123, I think it was, or 132 systems have come in so far that we've ordered for the HEPA machines. So we're waiting on the others to come in.
Yeah, almost all of them are in, Mr. Chairman. We learned that today. A whole bunch more came in today, so we're close to the 200 we ordered.
Okay,
now I have a question.
go ahead.
Where are we gonna put the HEPA filters? Are they going in all the classrooms and the nursing areas, or what's the plan for those?
It depends on how much air exchange is in each space. So that's essentially what we're assessing now. We know that there are some places that definitely need the air purification unit, and Will actually started putting some of them in today. And you're right, we know that some isolation rooms and some of the nurses areas are in need. So we're going to be making that decision when we have a better feel for where we are with the function of the univents and all of the buildings. So we got 200 of them. I hope we don't need more than that, but we're going to start getting those. We're getting organized. We got to inventory them, and then we'll start getting them out. So I think some might have gone out today, but we'll start getting them out next week.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, Will, anything else to add?
No, that's about it for right now.
All right. Unless anyone has a question, we'll move on. We have a resolution, which is SCPR 9/2020-17, a resolution empowering the Cumberland School Committee to authorize a contract with ADS Construction, Inc. of East Providence, Rhode Island, to implement the high school security that has been developed in an amount not to exceed $658,000. The money for this is coming from a town appropriated master lease, which is at $832,000, but $658,000 is for this project. I have a letter from E&E saying that based on the outcome of bids, Colliers recommends the school department accept ADS Construction in the amount of $658,000 for the security scope of work at the Cumberland High School. Anyone have any questions in regards to this resolution?
Paul, I think you said the letter was from E&E.
I'm sorry, Colliers. The letter's from Colliers. All right, so Mike Chandler, Karen Friedman says she's waiting for someone to let her in. Okay. All right. So we have a resolution to approve the security work at the high school that is being managed by the building committee in Colliers. Anyone have any questions? Hearing none. Jen, I need a motion.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve, seconded by Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. 2-0 with Mr. Salvatore absent. Next is CHS activity reports. I did not see any in the folder. Number 10 is public comment. Is there anyone from here from the public that would like to address the Fiscal Finance Subcommittee? If so, please make yourself aware to Mr. Chandler and state your name and address for the record, please.
Ted Vecchio has his hand up.
Mr. Vecchio, welcome.
Hi, Ted Vecchio, 97 Carter Street. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I just had a question on the transportation Durham portion that maybe someone can answer or get back to me. When they ask for 45%, since we didn't use them for their fixed costs, is that something that they're just asking for, and due to the situation we're gonna consider it, or is that contracted somewhere?
Mr. Vecchio, we're not supposed to comment at this time, but I will tell you that the school department attorney is handling the matter. That's all I can say.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else,
Yep.
Mr. Chandler? You see anyone else?
Yes, Kerry Smith.
Carrie Smith, welcome.
Thank you. Carrie Smith, 133 Bear Hill Road. And my question is actually on the vote that had just taken place. I believe that Mr. Pregnano had stated that 500,000 had been put into the budget for that, yet the costs are coming out at 658,000 after bids. So I just wanted to understand that additional 31% increase. It seems like a pretty high number for a differential. And I'm not sure if that could be answered or if it could be looked into and gotten back to at some time.
I will give you the quick answer. It is that when the
We lost you, Paul.
what?
It sounded like you're not speaking.
I'm speaking, right?
Now we can hear you.
Yeah, you
Oh, I'm
froze.
sorry. Well, I'm sorry. All right, so Kerry, the bids came in higher than expected because of the camera issue at the high school and throughout the district. There are many districts have used cameras that were made in China from years ago. And now the federal government is barring any contractor in the United States for 3 years if they use Chinese projects in any public works project. So that's the reason why. And so the first set of bids got rejected because of that, and we had to go out to bid again and use an American.
Okay. Thank you very much for the answer.
That answer your question, Blake?
It does. Thank you.
I can't hear. You guys see me? Or am I frozen? No? I
You're
think I'm
frozen again. But we can hear you.
Mr. Chairman, Mike, I don't know, Karen Friedman's trying to get into the meeting, although it's going to end in a minute anyway, but,
She's in the other side.
okay.
You're
freezing up, Paul. Maybe try to turn the camera off, turn it back on after, just get the audio on. But wait, see if he comes back in the meeting.
We're so close.
You're muted.
It's my internet service that's causing this. So is there anyone else, Mr. Chandler?
No, it's not.
Okay, so that's the end of public comment. I need a motion to adjourn fiscal subcommittee.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mrs. Bernardo, seconded by Mr. DeMonico. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 2-0. Thank you. We will very briefly go into executive session, which is at 6:15, which we were late, so we'll switch over to executive session. Okay, everyone? Thank you.